I swear I did not forget about you podcast listeners. I promise it wasn't on purpose that there's been a 2-week hiatus on the podcast. One of the weeks I can really explain, the other one was just on me. So basically the first week of the hiatus was me just trying to invite someone on for a guest episode. It fell through. I never recorded an episode. I didn't record a solo episode, so I had nothing to post. It was already like the beginning of the weekend. I got very busy on the weekend. I had no way of uploading it. Or I had no way of recording anything. So I just didn't have anything. I then also, the next week, had kind of a similar problem where I tried to invite someone on. It didn't work out. But there was more to it. That weekend was 4th of July weekend. I tried my best to spend as much time with family because my sister came up and it was like a big celebration because she just got married. And so I have a brother-in-law now, so we were celebrating that. And I really didn't think about recording a podcast. And then on top of that, I nearly died. And then on top of that, I got like a really bad sunburn that caused something called Hell's Itch, which I didn't even know was a thing. And it is, and it's the worst feeling in the world. I promise you, I have plenty of reasons for this week why there was no podcast. But we're here now. Welcome back to MMP. I am so sorry for the delay. It was just a solo episode. I got some good topics to talk about today, and we're just gonna go with this because I have a couple guest episodes lined up. It doesn't seem like I can get anyone to solidify dates, so I just kind of have to roll with the punches. But this episode will be out on time, and then maybe even there will be a guest episode in the same week. I don't know. Maybe I'll pamper. But I have been posting the advice show every Monday, and if not every Monday, at least Tuesday. So there's that. So if you're at least a fan of, I just punched the mic. At least if you're a fan of the advice show, you have something. So yes, everything I said was pretty much true. I had a pretty long weekend because of 4th of July weekend, celebrating, spending time with my sister. I had a great time, and yes, I almost died. I think it's good to just start with that story because that story is insane. So basically, from Thursday till I would say Saturday, we had parties lined up for the weekend. Thursday, I spent time with my sister, my mom, and I. We went to a nice little dinner. We got to introduce my sister's dog with our dog, and it went really well, and everything was going great. So I had a great time. Got back home, edited a Mind Milk, and I even streamed with a bunch of friends. So Thursday was a hit. Thursday worked perfectly. Friday was one of the first parties. Friday was the actual 4th of July party for us. So I got out of work on a half day and went to go see my whole family and spent 4th of July down with my family and spent time with my sister, who I don't always get to see in person. So it was really good. And for context, my sister and I are pretty close. We've always been pretty close. We're similar in age, so she's like a best friend to me. So a lot of times when I can spend time with her, I will choose that over content. So if that ever does become a ongoing thing, just know, sorry, family comes first. But I was able to record an episode for My Milk. I was able to at least secure some confirmations about future podcasts, and overall just get things solidified moving forward to do future episodes. But for right now, it's just gonna be a solo episode because I still haven't gotten dates down. But 4th of July party went great. Had a lot of fun. I'm still not drinking, so I didn't really do anything crazy. And then went home, got home, passed out immediately. And then Saturday hit. The day after 4th of July was actually a celebration party for my sister getting married. So we had that party. And that one was more of like a bigger event, bigger barbecue, like kickoff event. And that went well as well. Definitely a long day because I spent most of the day there and I was exhausted by the end of the day, but I had to stay there because I had to stay up pretty late because at 4 a.m. I had to bring my sister into the airport. And honestly, the easiest time ever bringing someone to an airport where I am at, probably one of the worst airports in general, one of the worst international airports in general. The offloading, the onboarding and offboarding of that airport stinks. Driving to it stinks. And overall, you could either be there for like what feels like 4 hours, or you can be in and out of that airport in an hour. It just depends on the luck you get. So we always go early, and her flight was at like five something, or like no, was that like six or something? We got there by like 4:30, or we got there around like 4:35. I don't know. Either way, got in, dropped her off, got out. Probably the fastest ever trip to the airport ever. There was no traffic, no nothing. Um, I was going to stay in the city and go play basketball for the morning and maybe even go into like a breakfast spot in the morning. And I realized I left some stuff at uh, the place that the party was being hosted at. So I went back to go grab that stuff. And then when I grabbed that stuff, I was like, all right, time to go home. On my way home, I was driving very casually, just straight away. A guy coming the opposite direction fell asleep at the steering wheel and swerved directly towards me. And if I didn't move, he would have hit directly into my driver's side door. And I will be fully honest with you, probably would have killed me. He was going pretty quick. I was going pretty quick. It's just the law of motion, and just the impact alone would have probably caused some serious damage. He was in an SUV and I'm in a small little sports sedan. So, um, yeah, it was very terrifying. I was able to avoid it, kind of. He still hit me, but car's in good shape. Everything's in good shape. I'm healthy and fine. Still a little rattled. I mean, it's been a few days, but still kind of plays into my head a little bit. I definitely, the first night I tried to go to sleep, I had like an actual dream about it, which was kind of gnarly to first night already have like the same image pop into your head, and it was never really a good feeling. It made me think about a lot because in the moment I just thought I'm dead. I just thought like, oh my God, I'm dead. And I didn't really think about it much until afterwards when I was really sitting there for a moment. I was like, wow, that was at like 5 a.m. If I got struck by that car and it actually did serious damage, and if it didn't kill me, it got close to killing me or whatever, nobody would have known. Few hours would have went by. Nobody wakes up at 5 a.m. And the people that do wake up at 5 a.m., I don't think they're really checking their phone like crazy like that. So I just put my sister I just brought my sister to the airport. She's getting on a flight. My parents are still asleep. My friends are still asleep. Other family members are still asleep. It would have been a few hours until anyone actually found out. And that kind of like, I don't know, shook me up a bit. And I wasn't going to say this, but like, I tried recording this podcast a couple days ago. And I got really like hung up on this point. And I got emotional, so I scrapped the episode. But I'm going to try and explain myself without getting too emotional, because it definitely scared me and startled me, but I've definitely dealt with the emotion a lot more and talked to a professional about it. So now I feel more confident talking about it. But it made me realize things that I just didn't really realize before. If I was to kind of go back and change some things, I think I would want to spend more time with my friends and spend more time nurturing the friendships that I have. I think I've definitely, in some aspects, neglected some friendships and family relationships, and um, it made me really grateful to know some wonderful people in my life. So if you are someone in my life and you're listening to this and you're driving, look out. I'm sorry. But really, if you're like driving or you're just like working out or you're whatever you're doing to listen to this, just know that I'm always thinking about you and you guys mean the world to me. So thank you so much for being such a valuable friend. Thank you so much for putting up with all my stuff. And I appreciate y'all because not a lot of the stuff I've gone through has been easy, but you guys have definitely made it easier. So with that being said, it was just something that kind of popped into my head with all that happening and going through everything, all the scenarios, and thinking about like who would reach out to me and who did reach out to me and who was concerned and who kind of turned over and was like, whatever. And it was a lot of people reached out in support and was like, oh my God, what the hell? Like, what can I do? How can I help? Like, and it was just awesome. So it was good to see that support and it really meant the world to me. So that was easier this time than it was the other time to say it. Definitely got more hung up on the fact that uh, some new people in my life has really made it apparent that I am loved and appreciated. Um, some old friends coming back in support has also been very cool. Definitely missed hanging out with some people. So being able to hang out with some old friends recently, like that day I hung out with a friend that I would consider a brother and spend a lot of time with him. And it was good just to catch up and spend time with him and value the moments that you get to have with people because you don't ever know. Like, to me, that was a simple drive home. I would have never expected that I would be in a police station writing off or reciting off someone's license plate because they almost killed me. You just don't think about that stuff. But you get to a point where you're just, life hits you. Um, that was rough. It was it's something I always fear of getting into an accident because I did. A couple of years ago, I got into a pretty serious accident in a snowstorm and slid off of the highway and went into a median and then bounced back onto the highway. My car died. I totaled my first car and it was a 99 Accord and I loved that thing to death and I totaled it. Totaled it before I even got to 200K miles. So officially I can unofficially say I've never hit the 200K mile mark, which is sad. And that was a car that I thought I was going to hit. It was an infamous car. A lot of friends loved it. A lot of friends hated it. It was just kind of like the vibe. Fortunately, that's how it came to an end. And I've never really handled it well. I don't like the idea of losing things like that. Something that you value very closely. And it might just be like a object to some people, but like a car is a big responsibility. And it was something that I felt very irresponsible for breaking. This was a different scenario. I didn't have control of this. This was fate making a decision and me having the reaction time to tell myself that it's not now. But um, it just it plays in your head, plays all the scenarios in your head. And you're just glad that you're in the winning scenario and you're glad that you're able to move forward. And I'm hoping at least I can get the videotape so I can at least show what happened because I think a lot of people would like to see it. I would like to see it again. I'd like to see how crazy it was because I only experienced it and it felt like a video game. It felt like when in GTA, when an NPC goes and crashes right at you, it felt like that. And my interaction with the guy was not much better. I won't go into too much detail, but the guy really did not handle me telling him, "Hey, you almost killed me." He was like, "I'm tired. I fell asleep." And it's like, "Hey, man, you chose to drive a car." So it's a PSA for anyone that's driving and they start to feel a little tired. Pull over and rest. Worst case scenario, a cop will knock on your window or someone will be concerned that you're asleep in a car, but it's better than the alternative where you risk hurting other people or risk hurting yourself or totaling your car or destroying property, just don't drive while tired. Don't drive while inebriated, and don't drive while under the influence of stuff. It's not smart. Also, put your phone down. Unless you're listening to this podcast, and rate it 5 stars and leave a like and tell me what you guys liked about this podcast in detail while you're driving. That's a joke, by the way. So that's a little bit of like a crazy start to the podcast. I promise the mood's gonna get a little bit better than that. The bright side is I'm still the best driver of my friend group, and it's not even close. But I know that's gonna probably piss off a couple of my friends. But let's be honest here. In most events, who's driving the car? You know. Now there's some other like key points that I wanted to bring up. I think to save the awkwardness of this pod and to kind of not push this into a more serious tone, I kind of want to joke around and goof around just a little bit. I'm gonna pivot, and I'm gonna pivot to something that was even more ridiculous. Yeah, so I got a serious sunburn that same day. A little bit later, I played basketball with a friend while playing. We were doing we were just playing on a court that was unbearably hot, so we both were just playing like basketball shirtless, and I'm not one to do that. I hate being shirtless. I'm a bigger dude. I got a gut. I don't like being shirtless ever, let alone while playing a very intense, sweaty sport in pure sunlight when I'm paler than Casper. It didn't turn out good. I had a really bad sunburn on my shoulders and on my back, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna hurt." Like at least we have like after sun and aloe and stuff like that. We didn't have after sun, and we really didn't have that much aloe. So I tried my best to like nurse it and like just like, okay, take it easy, don't go out the next day. And I was like, oh, coast is in the clear. It's like it's kind of itchy, but it's not bad. I got home yesterday, which was today is Wednesday. Yesterday was Tuesday. It was 2 days after the sunburn, and all of a sudden I like went to go take the dog for a walk, and I came back and I was a little sweaty, so I take off my shirt just to change into something else, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I'm really itchy all of a sudden. I'm like super itchy all over the shoulders. It's bad. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I've never experienced this amount of discomfort before. This is like very uncomfortable. Am I having a chemical, like, am I having like an allergic reaction, or is this chemical burn? So I like immediately panic. I go and find like the burn relief in my first aid kit, and I put some on, and it really doesn't alleviate the pain. And it's actually starting to hurt worse. And it's like really tingle pain. And I start to panic because I'm like, I don't know if I need to go to emergency room. Like, I thought I really got myself bad with like some sort of chemical burn, or I was thought I like had like an allergic reaction to the shirt I was wearing or something. So I started panicking, and my mom's helping as much as she can. But again, when you panic in a situation like that, you're not listening to advice. You're just trying to like do your own thing. And she's like, get in the shower, get in the shower. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna try this. I'm gonna try this. And I finally jump into the shower, and it helps alleviate a little bit, but it doesn't go away. I'm like, wow, okay, so it's really, really irritant now. It's like bad, bad. Like numerous times I fell to my knees in pain because it kept stinging and tingling my shoulders really bad. And I couldn't touch it because it was obviously a sunburn, so it's very, very like sensitive to the touch. But it's also like it feels like I need to itch. Like it felt like fire ants all over my shoulder, biting me everywhere. I'm like really panicked. I'm like, okay, what the hell's going on? This is also, mind you, 2 days after almost getting to a bad accident. I'm like, this is a horrible week so far. It's not getting much better. I'm in so much pain. I might have to go to the ER. We did some Googling. My mom found out that there's something called Hell's Itch. And if you guys have ever had Hell's Itch, I sympathize with you because I know what that's like now. And if you guys don't know what Hell's Itch is, apparently after a serious enough sunburn, like 24 to 72 hours after the serious enough sunburn, there's a chance that your nerve endings have to repair itself because they get burnt off. And when they repair themselves, they basically fight the sunburn, and it causes this burning sensation under your skin. It's like very similar to like almost like a shock or like a quick zap burn, and it is very painful. It felt very much like pins and needles all over my shoulder, or again, like fire ants biting me. I couldn't stop it. There's no relief for it. There's like, you can take ibuprofen and Benadryl, and that's what I did, but that doesn't kick in right away. So I'm sitting there and I'm freaking out. And it's cold compress is what they're recommending. So I'm putting a cold compress on. It really didn't do much, and I'm like super panicked at this point because it's not going away. This went on for 2 hours. I wanted to record this podcast last night, but by the time I stopped burning, having a crazy burning sensation, it was already like 10 o'clock at night. I was already exhausted from fighting this burn. It was bad. And this is to go to show. I get this a lot where people are like, wow, you have a lot go on. And I think sometimes people just like doubt that it happens, or like maybe that they just like think like I kind of like over exaggerate situations. I wish I did. I wish part of me was just this good fabricating liar who just makes up events and just makes things sound way worse than they were, because then I don't have to experience it. Because like most of the time when I say something, it really did happen, or it might have not happened to that extreme. I might be just like, amping it up for the camera. Let me tell you, this happened. It was not a joke. This was as serious as sin. It was painful. It brought me to my knees. It finally alleviated because I put a cold compress on, I took Benadryl, and I took ibuprofen, and I was just powering through the last like 15 to 20 minutes until the medicine kicked in. I truly was so grateful that it ended. That is not something I ever want to experience again. This is just a, good little PSA. Wear sunblock. Wear clothes when you're out in the sun on a very hot day. Unless you're someone that can kind of deal with sunburns very easily, then whatever. I can't control you. It's more about the UV rating than anything. So as long as you're monitoring the UV rating, I'm not gonna sit there and parent you on this, but I definitely messed up. I don't want you to ever experience that. So don't do what I did, and be careful and put sunblock on and make sure you're SPF protected. It was madness. I truly, this week has not been the greatest to me, but we're on the upside. Except for just found out that the world is spinning faster for some reason. Just came out today that the Earth is revolving faster because of the moon for some reason, and we lost like around 2 milliseconds worth of time on the day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's still kind of concerning that it happened because scientists don't really know why. So crazy. A lot of crazy stuff going on, and it's a very interesting time. So I hope they always say bad things come in threes. I'm kind of worried about what my third thing is. I had some random misconnections reach out to me recently, which is a little strange, but not bad. And I got some pretty crazy news on some past personal life stuff. And, that's a win in my book. But overall, it's been a very odd week. Big milestone update though. Since January, I've lost 20 pounds. And it might not look like it, but don't say that because I don't want to hear it. I lost 20 pounds because I needed to lose weight. I was kind of piddling around that stinky 300. I was like, I think 298. The most recent weight that I just weighed in at was like 278. So I'm in a very grateful spot in my life where I'm actually losing weight and I'm feeling healthier, and I'm playing sports very often and working hard, and doing this is actually turning out pretty good. We just had one of our first ever episodes hit over 200 viewers on the first day. And let me tell you, it was really cool to see all the outreach that I had. I had a German viewer, I had a Saudi Arabian viewer, I had someone from the United Kingdom, someone from India. They were all showing me all sorts of love, and it's cool to see the international reach that I had. And something on such a simple topic as, hey, don't use your government name as your username. Try different usernames out and make your own. I think a lot of people resonated with that because they started to relate to people that they know that have that. Or I don't know. It just felt good that there's something good coming from this whole thing. I don't know when the podcast is going to have that same feeling, but this was a cool little win because the advice show is always meant to be the main thing. The podcast is more just for me. It's my little rant spot, and if you don't really like the rant, you can just listen to a different episode or just don't listen at all. But the advice show is really for the people. It's for the people to be able to hear what I had to say about certain topics and critique what I had to say about certain topics. It's good practice for me on public speaking, and it's good practice for people on engaging in topics in a healthy manner. It's also good for people that want to ask questions that don't feel comfortable asking, maybe like an adult in their situation. Maybe they can just ask a random dude on the internet. I think that was what the whole premise was, is like, that's how I grew up. A lot of my teachings, a lot of my like understandings of life and life advice that I went through were from advice commentary gameplay channels that heavily depended on, like just input from the viewers. A good example of that is White Boy 7th Street with the high school story times that he used to do, or the weekly slap with Jay Schlatt, who he did something very similar where he would take weekly advice or questions from his channel and answer them and give some decent advice. I think I have a lot of like other examples of that, but that's what I grew up on. That's just that's what molded me. So it was really cool, starting to see that people are starting to get the same response from my stuff. Small. I know I'm a little I'm a little minnow in the pond, but hopefully with the combination of me uploading every week and trying out new things and doing what people suggest, I can really start to hone in my skill and we'll start to see a positive outreach. So a little bit of like a excitement in my life. A lot of the stuff I do is kind of garnered towards gaming and doing goofy fun stuff, and this is the most serious thing that I have going on in my life, is this whole channel. So there's stuff in the pod that you guys recommend, I will take into consideration. I was thinking about doing maybe some like reading off reviews that people leave of the pod and kind of taking into consideration some of the stuff, or maybe even do like a segment that I can think of, or reviewing, I don't know, reviewing the news for the day, or just, updating things in life. There's a lot of stuff I want to do still. There's plenty of stuff I want to do for the advice show. I think the advice show would also benefit from a branch out of maybe me focusing on a topic for a whole episode and doing kind of like a video essay. So stuff like how I did with the last one, which the last one was a prompt that I made for myself. Now, I was thinking just doing that every so often, sprinkle those in and really give it more character, that sometimes the advice is artificial from the audience and some of it's manufactured straight from me. So that's just the future of everything. I have plenty of more ideas. I got some really fun guests coming on. I'm not going to say too much, but I have some people who don't do content coming on soon, and it's not their strong suit to do content, but they are people that I'm very close with. So it's kind of like an outside perspective. Most of the time when I do these, it's to interview people that do content and have a lens in the content field. This is like outsider perspective. This is people that one of them watches my stuff and one of them really doesn't. So it's gonna be fun to do that one. I have a couple other episodes in mind and a couple other guests in mind, but I really am just excited to look forward to doing that type of stuff, and just grateful that this is kicking off. I also heard some comments about the name. I understand it's a little confusing that there's the Mind Milk show and then there's the Mind Milk podcast. I put myself into that hole. So what I'm going to do is the title naming for at least the YouTube, because that's all that matters in this sense. There will never be a My Milk show on the Spotify. There will never be My Milk show on Apple Podcasts. I think it's Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts. By the way, we're on Apple Podcasts now. So if you like listening to stuff on Apple Podcasts, just add us to your playlist and just at least give us a good rate. Give me a good rating on that. It was kind of hard to get an Apple account because I'm an Android user. So I had to remember a password from my old Apple account from like 7 years ago. I'm not even joking on that, by the way. I had to literally find my old iPod Touch to turn it on to get my old email info to figure out which account it was under to then at least get the ball rolling on updating the password, which, ooh, that's a different story. Apple, what are we doing with the password game? Can we just take a moment? How frustrating it is. I had to wait a week for a password reset. Just a little nuts. I don't know. It just didn't feel necessary, but I waited, so we got it. It's now on Apple Podcasts. So if you enjoy podcasts on any of those, and if you guys want me to add it to another platform, let me know, and I will probably struggle to get it on that platform too, but I will get it done. But it's cool just to say I have my own podcast that's on Spotify and Apple. Wild. I mean, already having a podcast on YouTube is really cool, but like I'm on Spotify. Like I listen to podcasts on Spotify all the time, and like I'm there now. And it looks really good. I think the logo looks great. I think it really fits the aesthetic of a podcast logo. So I'm very happy with that. I don't know how I feel about doing a video podcast on that. I saw that people were kind of iffy on that from what I read and what I got messaged, because it seemed like it made the video take longer to load. So maybe I'll just go only audio only on those platforms. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I only do when I do interviews, when I do the guest episodes, maybe I only do them. We'll see. But I really do not know what else to talk about. No, I'm just kidding. I do know what I want to talk about. It's the new game I've been playing, the new game I'm obsessed with, and the new game I can't stop thinking about. It's called Peak. If you haven't heard of it, you're living under a rock. Peak is a mountain climbing game that you play with friends. It's basically, I don't know if you guys remember, I was talking about it a little bit on social media about it, but someone called out that these type of games are called friend farming, where you have like a game that has like proximity chat and some sort of enjoyable content feature, and you play it with friends, and it's considered friend farming. This is like the definition of a friend farming game, even though it's a stupid title, because it all that means is you hanging out with friends. But very very similar enjoyment level as like Repo and Lethal Company, and there's so many others that I can think of, but they can't come to mind right now. But basically this one is just a mountain climbing game with a lot of goofy features, and proximity chat in a mountain climbing game is amazing because if someone falls down, their voice just kind of dissipates, and I had so much fun playing it that like I'm obsessed with it. That's all I want to play. And it's plagued my brain. I think gaming is wonderful in that aspect because it's like all it takes is one game, and then you're hooked, and you're like, that's all I want to do. I don't even want to work. I can't focus. Luckily for me, I've had to focus on work, so I've been distracted a little bit. But like when I get home, I'm like, I message the friends that play. I'm like, you guys want to play today? Unfortunately, time zones kind of flip that around, and hopefully I can get to more solid gaming of that. I swear to God, I'll play it solo. That game is just fun. It's just pure fun. So that's been in my life. That's been in my plague rotation. That and Sisyphus. If anyone knows me, they know I play this game where I push a rock up a hill and I'm horrible at it. I'm getting farther up the game than I've ever had before. I just I just really, really hope I get it done soon because I can't keep playing that game. I just can't. Just can't. I have so many other games. I have a backlog. That's what stinks is when you start playing one game, you kind of push another game to the side. And maybe this is just a me thing. It's very rare for me to get back into the game once I push it to the side, even if I really like it. So like Elden Ring, for example, I played it a couple times. Never fully beaten the game. I've gotten close a long time ago, and now I'm back into this bad cycle of playing it again, but then leaving it alone for a while and then playing it again. And I just gotta bunker down and beat it. So that's just kind of how it is. There's a lot of backlog for me, and it just means more exciting things in the future. Um, I'm not moved yet. I remember the last time I probably was on pod talking on a solo episode, I probably talked about moving. Not moving till August. Once the move happens, there's gonna be a new set. There's gonna be new stuff. Gotta get ready. I can't really explain what the setup's like yet because I actually don't know which room I'm taking over for my office. But a good little announcement is I'm not sleeping in the same place that I record, which is like a huge win. That's something that like I've always wanted. I've always wanted my own little office space for streaming because it's just sometimes that like I don't know. It's just a bad temptation to have your computer in the same room that you're sleeping in because there's been times that like if I'm not sleeping well, I'll just get up and go back to my computer. And I think with the idea of it being in a separate room, I'll do it less. I don't know. I'll find a way. You know, I'll still find a way to cheese some games and play some more. So yeah, no, I mean, guys, I think that's it. I think that's all I really had in store. Um, I'm sorry if this is a little anticlimactic of a shorter episode, but this is kind of more to just for one show appreciation that I'm alive because that was a big question mark this week. So I'm glad that that didn't happen and I didn't get seriously hurt. And I just wanted to show some appreciation to all the support and then also appreciation to this channel doing so well recently. And, the future is only up. Is the sky's the limit? I don't know. It's one of those sayings. But I very much appreciate all the love and support and all the critiques, and everyone's got good opinions on stuff. Everyone's got good takes on stuff, and I want to hear it all cuz it's what builds the channel. And I think a lot of my influence is coming from you guys, and I think you guys are also learning a lot about me. So it's cool cuz this is a side of me that I don't get to share often. I mean, I stream and I talk a lot on stream, but I don't think I talk about like just like personally how I'm feeling about stuff, and also going into like the deep of like a situation like that. Like I don't know, it's nice to be able to vent and not have someone be like LOL get over it in the chat or something, you know? It's nice. It's nice to be able to record something and only people will notice my hair and probably not comment on it, but deep down I'm going to hyperfixate on it when I edit this episode. So hopefully there's not a lot of edits to this episode. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Expect, obviously, my milk every Monday until further notice. I shouldn't guarantee that, but I think I've been pretty consistent, so I think I can do another one. And then maybe another pod this week because I missed 2 weeks and I'm really sorry I missed 2 weeks. I promise I try and make this a weekly thing, and if not, it'll probably eventually shift to like whenever I can, but I really want it to just be like Mind Milk on Monday and the pod on Friday, so that way there's a good separation, and then maybe start building shorts in between. But shorts are hard to record because it's just as cringe as everything else I do. So I got to get used to it. I'm practicing it. I think this is a good way to practice, but time will tell. I'll get better at it, and hopefully we'll see the progress soon. So peace. Hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Bye. I don't even know what that was. I was trying to say bye, but my voice gave out. Hopefully by the time I record the next episode, my voice is back. All right, bye.